Dana Trump. I'm with Land Pride Service Department. Today we're going to be discussing the PR1690. We're going to set this thing up. I'll tell you the do's and don'ts on it. There is a lot of decals on this frame, warnings. Read them before you use the unit at all. When you get this thing hooked up to your tractor, you want to take and get the thing leveled side to side. You don't want this side cutting in deeper than that side. You got to have it level if you want to do a nice job. So double check the air pressure in your tires of your tractor. Make sure they're exactly the same pressures. At that point, lower this thing down close to the concrete like we got it right now. You can tell by looking how close this thing is. If you need to adjust it, the 3-point, lower arm, one side, adjust it to get this thing where you set where you want it. When we get to the field, then we will let the 3-point down to the digging depth that we want. And by the way, digging depth is 1 to 2 inches maximum on the power rig. When we get that set, we're going to pull forward a few feet to get the thing settled in very well. We're going to stop the unit, come back here, and we're going to look to see if she's level front to back. What we want is this frame to be level front to back and side to side if you're on level ground. The same plane as the ground, if you will. To set the levelness front to back, we add and remove these spacers at the gauge wheels on each side. Once you get that set where you need it, then we will take this top length and we will extend it out to halfway on the midpoint. It's got quite a bit of travel in here. When you're going over hips and ravines and stuff like that, you want to level off a yard, this thing will level like a tabletop. Okay, at this point, I want to show you guys how to pre-slip that clutch. We're going to adjust it. You guys know how to do it. Okay, the clutch is located underneath the shield. Remove the shield. I've already loosened the nuts on this clutch. What we're going to do is fire the unit up. We're going to mark it here, fire the unit up, and we're going to make sure that this is not froze. This is very important. If you get to running down through the field there and this thing starts smoking, you're putting too much pressure, too much ground speed on the unit, which will slip the clutch. That's what it's designed to do. It protects all the drive unit. So if you don't pre-slip it, it will freeze with moisture in the air over time. Pre-slip it. So now we're going to mark this edge. We're going to fire this unit up, make sure it's slipping, and then we will tighten the springs down as it states in the operator's manual. Now I'm ready to mark the edge of the slip clutch. So use a pen, come in here, make a mark clear across. Make sure you get some marks down there on them discs. I've already loosened up these nuts prior, so there's not hardly any pressure on this right now. I'm going to fire the tractor up and I'm going to dump the clutch on it, and we'll see if this thing will slip like it's supposed to. Yeah, it did slip. There's that one. She did slip. Now we're going to get the tools. When you're setting the springs on these, use a caliper, not a tape measure. Now we got the springs reset after pre-slipping the clutch. The spring length is found in the operator's manual. Under the maintenance section, detailed instructions with pictures of how to do this whole process we just did. In case the drive line happens to change on this particular unit, I'm not going to tell you the spring length. Refer to your operator's manual for your driveline spring length. Okay, now we're going to check the oil levels in the gearboxes. This gearbox uses 80/90. This plug on the rear, remove it. Oil should be bottom of the threads. In this case, it'd be nice to let this unit down on the ground so she's level. That's what the oil level should be here, bottom of the threads. There's U-joints on these drive lines, one on each end. Make sure you grease those. There's also grease zerks here at the pivot, back end, tail wheels. The chain case over here, we use flowable grease in it. This is your plug to remove to make sure that you got the right grease level in it. Again, this is a flowable grease, a double aught flowable grease that we use in the chain case. The day you need to adjust the chain, right here is how you adjust it. This will add tension internally into the chain so you don't get too much backlash in it. If you want to see what you're doing when you're doing that, we do have a nice access panel here. Remove these bolts. You can see down in there very well. You can see what that chain's doing. I actually like grabbing hold of it and watching the clutch and see how much backlash you got. You can feel it. If you got much backlash, you want to give it just a little bit of pressure. You don't want the chain too tight, but you want it tight enough you don't have a lot of backlash in it. The power rake has got side shields on it that you can use in place and use it like a box blade, if you will. It keeps the material in between here so it fills in low spots. It has quite a pile of dirt in front of it in between here. It'll shake the dirt away from the ruts, is what it'll do to give enough action. If you don't want to use these very easily, remove the linch pin. This one stores here. The one on the other side, you remove it. This stores back here, so they're pretty well back to back. So if you don't need them, this is where you'll park them. This unit here has got the manual side to side shift. This thing will shift 15 degrees right or left. We've also got a hydraulic cylinder you can put here as an option. This tractor does not have rear remotes on it. If you use a hydraulic option, your tractor must have rear remote one set. This is the material control deflector. The 90 incher's got 3 mounting points. To adjust this, you're going to loosen up the nut and bolt on the rear. The front ones, you're going to remove those, and you're going to adjust this up and down with all these holes that we have in both pieces. You can get this bar down here very close to the points, or you can actually raise it up a little higher than what it is. The closer you have this bar down to the points, the finer the material is going to be when it rolls over the roller. That's going to give you a very fine seat bed. If you have it up lighter than this, it'll actually bring over larger clods, rocks, anything of that size that come through here is going to come through. If you happen to be in very moist conditions, too wet to plant, too wet to work, open this thing up wide open. Make one pass about 2 inches deep. This actually adds air to the soil while it's turning it. That also promotes drying. So that way you can just wait a little while, come back, hit it again. You can get the job, a lot of times you can get the job done before the next rain comes in. We're going to play with this out in the field to show you guys the difference between the two. Okay, we've got the tractor and the power rake out here in the field. We're going to set this thing up, level it front to back, and we'll start following through with what this machine will do here in a little bit. The front of this thing is tipped forward quite a ways. I'm going to have to pull these casters off. I'm probably going to start by removing 2 off the bottom and adding 2 to the top to get this thing to come back a little bit more. My depth of cut is about where I want it right now. I'm really close to what I'm after. So I'm going to get that adjusted. We'll go from there. There it is. Slot down at the bottom. That's where she's at. Could come down a little bit more in the front, couldn't it? Depth of cut. Yep, I need to drop it some more. I went off and checked it. My 3-point needs to come down a little bit deeper. My depth of cut is not very much, so right now I'm going to lower my 3-point a little bit more. Okay, I'm liking this. Right here, you notice the skid shoe? She's about even with the ground. My roller's cutting in about 2 inches deep. Like I said before, about maximum what you want to run. So I'm gonna stand back here and take a look at a side view. Looks pretty close, don't it? Okay, at this point here, I'm gonna lock my 3-point lever so I don't move it. So at this time, I'm going to adjust my top link out further. When you run over dips and hills and that kind of stuff, this will float in this area here, and this thing will level like a tabletop, like I said earlier. I'm going to set my stop on my 3-point. Okay, I'm going to go a few feet and we'll see what this thing does. Right now this deflector is just about wide open. If you notice, it'll throw a lot of material over the top of it. Okay, you notice how much was thrown over the top? I'm digging in about that deep. I got that much loose soil up here. See how well it's compacted? You also see the size of the soil, different sizes. This gives you an idea of what it'll do in the wide setting. I think at this time, we're gonna lower that down more of a normal setting. And it'll show you a lot thinner seed bed we're making for it. Okay, I got that adjusted. What I'm going to do is make another pass over here at this deflector height with the same ground speed, and you'll be able to see the difference in loose soil between the two. You got a lot finer particles than you had on our previous run. If you zoom in on this, you can see the lot smaller stuff. There's not much to it. There's some nice moisture in this stuff. It breaks up very easily between your finger and your thumb. If you notice, this soil here has been worked prior, quite a while back I might add. Over here we got some old vegetation and stuff. This unit you can go through grass, whatever you got. If it's really tall stuff, you'd be better off mowing it first and getting it short. And this thing will take and separate the roots from the dirt very well. Tall stuff will wrap on that roller if you're not careful. So again, I do emphasize mowing if it's tall vegetation. You notice the bind reed? It's pretty long stuff, it did wrap. Can you zoom in on this, Dwight? It looks like the vegetation's still out here. You will find all the soil knocked off the roots. Here's a nice big clump. One little ball there left that was attached to it because of the moisture's in it. Any of it you pull out here will be free. The dirt's free from the roots. I'm about 1.25 inches deep right here with my seed bed. If I was to speed my tractor up ground speed, I'll get a thinner seed bed. So depending on your soil conditions, you want to run slower, faster, it's all going to dictate on your ground conditions and what you want in the end. We're going to take and put these side skirts up here in the storage position. And I'm going to angle the rake. We're going to see if we can get a few rocks out of here and make a little windrow. We'll see what kind of rocks are in here before we get done. So when I go to rake and rock, I won't put the 3-point down quite so far. Otherwise, all the dirt will go with it. If all you want to do is pull rocks, here we go. Here's our nice row of rock that we got. We're out here free. There's no dirt stuck to it. Again, a skim coat works real well. If you get a lot of heavy debris, rocks and that type of stuff, throttle the tractor down a little bit. It doesn't throw them so far that way. You keep more of a smaller windrow instead of scattered out like the whole width of the rake. There's a lot of uses for this machine. After you get onto it, you'll become a very good operator in a short period of time.